Hello and welcome once again to the VideoGameBear channel. I am your host, the VideoGameBear, a bear who happens to be a fine connoisseur of platform games. Today's video features a double bill of affordable retro-inspired 3D platforming. Enjoy! I've recently gotten to the work of developer Siactro, a one-man dev team responsible for several bite-sized video games. All of his games use a low-poly style that imitates the look of the original PlayStation, Sega Saturn and the Nintendo 64.
I am so sorry for being late. I overslept and... Uncle?
While I will always be an advocate for fantastic pixel art, there's still something visually appealing about simplistic chunky polygons. I only wish more developers were willing to explore this visual style. As mentioned, this video will be covering two platformers developed by Siactro, both currently available on PC and fairly recently ported to the Nintendo Switch. First up we have Macbat 64, an obvious nod to Rareware's Banjo-Kazooie, imitating its visual style, collectathon gameplay and even the quirky British sense of humour. It spec callbacks and Easter eggs to a lot of Rareware's back catalogue and references to some of the defining titles of the N64. To show off everything here would surely be spoiling a lot of the fun, so I'll be resisting the urge to show off too much in this video. The overall goal of Macbat is to locate 6 magical keys which will open the door to the evil Melon King's lair. A wonderfully daft premise which probably wouldn't look too out of place in your typical platforming romp of the mid-90s. As to be expected of a collectathon, there are an assortment of items which must be collected to advance your goal. Balloons, keys and gold coins are strewn about in a variety of locales, though the areas are way smaller in scale. It's a very relaxed sort of pace, and thankfully the collecting here never gets quite as absurd as the grueling amount of necessary pickups in Donkey Kong 64. Macbat doesn't have a form of attack, and you are just limited to being able to run and jump with limited flight capabilities. You will eventually earn the ability to fly indefinitely, and rather hilariously this completely breaks the game, and you're able to bypass area boundaries. This is encouraged, however, as there are plenty of secrets just hiding outside the level geometry. This itself almost feels like a callback to my own experiences with Banjo-Kazooie, a game which was already chock full of secrets, but if I recall my first initial playthrough of the game back in 1998, I was still convinced it held more secrets left to uncover, just waiting beyond those level walls. One unfortunate little carryover from the N64 era is the camera. While most of your collecting will be taking place in fairly open environments, the enclosed areas are where it really begins to suffer the most. I suppose it does accurately recreate the experience of a lot of those early 3D titles, but even so, there are just several aspects from the era I never really want to see again. Macbat is just a fun little throwback to a bygone era. It's a game you're either going to immediately get, or perhaps just write off as simple nostalgia pandering. You can fully complete Macbat in as little as over an hour, and I would recommend playing through it in its entirety within a single sitting. If you absolutely love those old Rareware platformers, or you're just feeling a tiny bit curious about the gameplay shown here, then Macbat is definitely worth looking into. With such a low cost of entry, you really have nothing much to lose. Toree 3D's visual style may be a throwback to those flat cel-shaded polygons of the 32-bit consoles, but gameplay here is very reminiscent of Sonic the Hedgehog, particularly Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on the Sega Dreamcast. There's even an obvious nod to Sonic Adventure 2's Metal Harbor here, which is kinda what piqued my interest in the game to begin with. A low-poly Sonic model surely wouldn't look too out of place here. Toree's controls even feel like they take a lot of direct inspiration from Adventure 1 and 2, though way more refined and with a run button included. There are no boosting or drift mechanics here like in later 3D Sonic installments, but instead the gameplay feels more like what perhaps Sonic might have looked like today, Had series developer Sonic Team fully explored some of those platforming mechanics instead of favouring the sheer spectacle. The level design here is strictly linear. There are no hidden collectibles to discover aside from star pickups, which only really exist to simply teach you the level design on a first time run. Instead, the real fun of Toree 3D comes from its ranking system, which is entirely based around how quickly you can beat a stage. If, like myself, you are obsessed in earning every A rank in Sonic Adventure, or you're just generally into speedrunning, then this could be the game for you. It's a lot of fun figuring out those shortcuts to shave off just a few precious seconds of time. And better yet, Siactro has even included S ranks in a free content update. Earning some of these are really no joke. Besides earning medals on the level select screen for bragging rights and 2 unlockable characters, there is very little else here. I may have been left wanting more from Toree 3D, but I was at least able to get 2 hours worth of game time. It's absolutely worth its minuscule asking price. Definitely check this one out. Before capping off today's video, I would like to mention some of the horror elements of both titles. There is an underlying horror theme within a vast majority of Siactro's work. It's nothing morbid or gory, but it can feel a tiny bit unsettling. Siactro was involved with the PS1 Haunted Demo Disc scene, a collection of various indie horror titles that make use of a lo-fi art style. Some of these do eventually lead to full games, and there are some pretty interesting titles on offer here if you're into the genre. I think it's a pretty interesting idea for a seemingly family-friendly mascot platformer with creepy elements. And it has been tackled before. It could even be traced back to Super Mario 64. I'm sure I can't be the only one who was just a little bit traumatized finding this giant eel. However, the spooky content here just kind of misses the mark for me. Toree 3D has next to no plot besides occasionally teasing you with a few environmental details. It really felt like the game was building towards something which disappointingly never really seems to happen. I do like these horror elements being here, but as they are right now, I just feel they're a tad too undercooked for me to really appreciate. Welcome back to the Bear Cave. I really get the vibe that Siactro is a passionate game designer who just really wants to create. It's pretty inspiring actually. Perhaps I should have spent my time learning how to code instead of wasting my childhood trying to 100% complete Donkey Kong 64. Oh well. Thanks for watching this VideoGameBear review, and I hope to catch you for the next video. Until then, take care.